Talk Audio. Hello again, and welcome back to the newest issue of our Tech Talk Audio series about responsible artificial intelligence. In the next few minutes, Rudraksh Pavalkar, Global Delivery Lead of Accenture's internal program for responsible AI, will talk about applying responsible AI principles within automotive and public services. So Rudy, what do these industries, automotive and public services, have in common?
The reason we kept them together was that we wanted to look at the big picture of the automotive industry, which is not just limited to cars or trucks, but also public transport as well, right? Like the railways or rapid mass transit systems in big cities and all that. So we thought, okay, it will be a better idea to keep them together.
Why do we need responsible AI in the automotive and public transport industries?
There are very good examples in the automotive industry where responsible AI has a very big impact. For example, the Teslas of the world, and where everyone is now focusing on autonomously driven cars, but also the public transportation. So, based on the upcoming EU AI regulation, right? Let's say you have a railway system for a country, you have an AI that is being designed to do predictive asset maintenance,
Right.
and due to certain things not planned properly as part of the data set, some data sets are not complete or having skewed data, it can miss on certain deadlines, timelines, and areas to inspect, and can provide wrong output. And in the end, we're talking about a machine, but that machine is carrying people.
Right.
God forbid, if due to that bad result or missed deadline of that predictive asset maintenance output, an accident happen, people may lose their lives, right? So from that perspective, it is part of the upcoming regulation that if it is impacting human life, and it is a question about life and death, so that's why it is very critical to have proper data. At the same time, no black related AI algorithm models. They should have transparency, explainability, that is, you are able to relate what is the output and you are able to trust the output with the proper reasoning. Then only you will be able to release it on the road and put people's life in the hand of an AI. Second, in terms of the overall in the automotive industry, where we have manufacturing, we have people involved in developing or assembling car bodies with technology, right? So there are AIs which are being used to with camera vision to inspect the bodies and the design and the strength accordingly, which is determined based on visual inspection by these cameras. If they are using black box technology and just recommending something, and a particular person who is making that change based on the recommendation doesn't know why this change is required, and in the end it is kind of making the overall structural strength of the body of the car weak due to one change, it can prove fatal on the road.
So it is important to understand how an algorithm works. Can you also give an example of why it is important to make sure that the data that is used to train the algorithm is appropriate?
Another example would be that when you have these very advanced autonomously driven cars on the road, uh, you are also dependent on the traffic data, right? Most of the time it is real time, but also these engines are being trained on the historical data. And if, let's say, for example, you are talking about London, UK, but in training data, you by mistake put London, Canada, the traffic patterns are completely different, right? So that algorithm will be trained on a very low traffic or completely different kind of a traffic environment, and also the side of the road they drive is completely opposite, right? One is on the left side, another is on the right side. So it may also create some wrong behavior of that AI in driving that car autonomously, right? And it can also, if you have, let's say, the same UK London data that you have used as a pattern, but you use the data to train only for the holiday season, right? And someone is driving in, let's say, the busy day, but the data that is being used is not being able to relate to the real time data, and it changes the behavior of the engine to drive the car in a more aggressive mode, because the AI is thinking that based on the data, there is no traffic. So it can also result in some fatal outcome.
Where do you see challenges, maybe also from the customer's perspective?
Challenges that I see are not coming in from the actual manufacturing or the consumer perspective, but more from the engineering
Right.
perspective, where we have these AI engineers or the data scientists, the machine learning engineers who are creating such models, right? So they have to make sure that they are mapping their processes against the proper principles and the governance requirements. They are taking into consideration proper policies, standards, and controls in place, not from the regulations point of view, but also from the best practices point of view when they define and design a model and when they test it.
How can automotive and public transport companies integrate responsible AI principles?
Even though, let's say, the Teslas of the world, or now all big or major automotive company wants to get into this space, and they have already started this journey, and they are partnering pretty big on being data driven rather than machine driven, right? And they want to be the data driven companies of the future and helping humans with that. So what happens is that when you are consuming data about the environment which is nearby. I gave some examples about the traffic, but at the same time, some of the patterns or some of the incidents that we see on the road are very unpredictable, right? Means a human crossing the road when there is no zebra
Mm.
crossing or a crosswalk. They just
And they
jaywalk,
do it. Yeah.
right, on the road.
Mm.
If that kind of an incident happen and you're driving a particular car that is autonomously driven,
Mm.
the engine should be able to quickly take the decision, calculate the outcome, and identify the object on the road, whether it's a human being or any other living being, right? It could be a cat or a dog, or could be a big boulder, right? Non-living substance should be able to check and make the decision that, okay, how can I save that living thing on the road as well as the living thing inside the car? So those kind of things are pretty much dependent on the object identification or image recognition, and then the calculation based on the algorithm that has been trained on the data to be able to identify the difference. So this can definitely help save lives of people.
Thanks, Rudy, for the quick crash course about responsible AI in these fields.
My pleasure. Thanks, Tobias.
In the next episode, we'll talk about what everybody's talking about, ChatGPT, but seen through the lens of responsible AI. Hope you'll tune in again, dear listeners. Thanks and goodbye. TikTok Audio.